These are my OCs for my series Welcome Home. Edgar and Gemini are both major side characters who become main characters in one of 6 possible routes for the story. I recently had to overhaul a few things about the story so it made sense. For example, Hobble is in her mid-20s and was childhood friends with Gemini and Angelo. However, Angelo and Gemini were 18 and 19 respectively, since there needed to be a high school involved for the plot. The math just was not matching, but I still needed the high school building for plot purposes, so now the new stuff is that Gemini and Angelo are around Hobble's age, Edgar is a history professor instead of a high school teacher, and the community college is new and in the old high school where the 3 of them attended, so it still has all it needs for plot relevancy. I've had these characters for many years. The concept of Welcome Home was around since at least 2012, so everyone has gone through many changes since then, both story-wise and design-wise. I'm actually pretty mad at myself because I Library of Alexandria'd almost all my old artwork and concepts when I was an older teen because I was ashamed of how poorly done a lot of my work was, and now I have nearly nothing to look back on to see how far this story has come along, and I am sure that I also lost a lot of really good concepts I could have polished up and repurposed. Initially, Welcome Home was supposed to be a video game, but I have no coding skills and I realized that a lot of what I want to do would mainly be cutscenes anyhow. People have suggested doing it as a visual novel, but a visual novel would severely limit how much I want to do with Welcome Home, so I'm making it a choose-your-own-adventure webcomic. Hopefully I can have animated elements to it, but alas, adult life sucks majorly, so I never really have time to fully work on it. Anyways, Edgar's been a bit of a fan favorite among people who know Welcome Home's routes and characters. It makes me happy given the current state of fandom, and how people get persnickety about antagonists. Gemini is not as big of a fan favorite, but he's still liked pretty decently, I think. Designing the 2 of them over the years has been fun but challenging. Edgar initially had brown hair and a gray color palette. Gemini started out as a Steven Universe OC as a fusion between 2 gems, both who in Welcome Home are his father and uncle now. The Gem OC design changed a lot when translating it to a human design, and otherwise Gemini's human design saw almost no changes over the last decade. The only thing I struggle with when it comes to Gemini is his hair length and color palette. Gemini shares his signature blue color with his father, Shiloh, and part of my in-universe explanation is that they share clothes, but I definitely want to make him look more distinct, with perhaps a lighter blue while Shiloh gets to keep the dark blue. Edgar's red palette was inspired by red being associated with danger. Almost all my antagonists have red somewhere in their palette, and red in Welcome Home has an additional meaning. The additional meaning is secrets, or something hidden. For example, Clover, who is the wife of Hobble's therapist, has a lot of red in her palette because unbeknownst to Hobble, she's not fully human. Reggie is another character with a lot of red in his palette, and that's both because of his mental health issues he's secretly struggling with, and because his family as a whole has a deeper connection to one of the mysteries in Pleasant Grove than most people realize. So it's not simply just a villainous trait. Another design element is Gemini's face spots. A lot of people mistake those for tears, but they're actually heavily stylized fawn spots because Gemini's got non-human heritage. I keep them as simple spots, both as a call-out to his original design when he had appetite gem spots, and because it's easier to draw than the usual fawn spot patterns. Another favorite design element is Edgar's hair. His fluffy hair in the back is heavily inspired by, and I am not joking, chicken butts. The relationship between Edgar and Gemini is one of my favorite aspects about Welcome Home. Since they start as teacher and student, and Gemini has a huge crush on Edgar. Edgar finds out about the crush later on, and he's a little amused and flattered by it. I know I already spoiled that Edgar's an antagonist, but I'm uncertain if I want to spoil just yet why he's one because it pertains to the drawing here. Maybe in another video? Throwing in some fun facts about Edgar. He is the eldest of 11 siblings. His father is a retired circus clown and his mom's an elementary school teacher. Edgar helps his dad out with birthday parties, and his whole life Edgar was taught different clown tricks, so he's quite skilled in clownery. It's not a career he'd consider. He just goes along with it since it makes his dad happy. As for Gemini, his mom was murdered when he was 6 years old and he witnessed some of it, and he had to learn how to be self-reliant at a young age because her murder absolutely destroyed his father mentally, and while Gemini knows it's not his fault, he still feels resentful at how neglectful Shiloh became over the years. I'm going to go ahead and end the ramble here. Let me know what other topics you'd like to hear about that aren't OC lore.